Greetings, everyone, once again, and welcome to the 182nd session of the online Optom Learning Series, OOLS. And for today's session, we have with us a very interesting topic. It's optometric related, but it is towards the preventive medicine and medicinal related as well, because this is something very unique, which we wanted to bring this across to you. So we have two speakers who will be sharing their thoughts. Mr. Dan received dual degrees in child psychology and business administration. He is also the owner and CEO of Kern Surgical Resources. This particular company is an international medical device company operating in several countries. He has a lot of experience in all, I think, many of the medical products, if I may put it in that way, sports medicine, orthopedic sales, and a lot of other stuffs as well. He looks after and has developed an international team of healthcare professionals and physicians, which utilizes the only non-invasive technology, which helps to measure the antioxidant absorption at the cellular level. And that is what he's going to bring us today. And joining Dan, we have Marietjie. Marietjie is an optometrist from South Africa. She earned her bachelor's degree in optometry at the University of Durban, Westville. She is also a fellow of the American Academy of Optometry. And very recently, she is also completed her clinical certification with the Stark-Griffin Dyslexia Association. She is very well known as the founder of GuruMed, and I think the platform provides a lot of exciting courses for optometrists and eye care professionals. And the recent course on dyslexia, I think, is gaining a lot of popularity with her expertise in place. She is also an author of a book, which is the Vision Sturt's Practical Guide to Anterior Segment Conditions, and it's also available on the Kindle format on Amazon if somebody is interested. So with that short introduction, I would like to kind of welcome you both onto our platform, and let me, just leave the screen time to you and go ahead on the discussion for today.
Thank you, Fakrid, and I'm going to fall in there. And thanks, guys, for having us. We're always so pleased to be able to present on this platform. I've had the privilege of doing this a few times for you guys, and it's always such a pleasure to be invited to present on a platform like this. I can't believe we're like almost hitting the 200 mark. I remember when we started this in COVID times. So well done to OOLS for keeping this up. So we're very excited to bringing you guys something unique today. And I'm going to do a small portion of this. What I just want to do is share a little bit of my background in this technology and tell you guys why it's so important for all of us to be doing this as eye care professionals. So one of the things that's become very apparent during the COVID time, but was there before, is the immense effect that oxidative stress has on a person's general health. And as eye care providers, we need to be sure that we do not just give attention to a person's visual health, but also make sure that we look at them as a whole. And holistic care is something that I'm very passionate about, and not just treating someone's two eyes, but actually making sure that they as a person is looked after. But when it comes to oxidative stress specifically, I've got a bit of a history and a personal history with my father-in-law being a macular degenerative patient. I was the unfortunate person to diagnose him about 8 years ago, and unfortunately he's got the genetic wet type, and we pretty much lost his vision very quickly. It was about 2 years in, and his functional vision now is about 5%. And we did everything right, everything that research says, everything that we can do. And as most of you as clinicians will know, AMD is one of the hardest, if not the hardest, ocular condition to treat or to manage once it has actually become active. And from there, preventative care has really become very important for me, because if we could have kind of picked this up earlier, or we could have managed his general health better, we might have been able to not have his vision deteriorate to such an extent. And it's become quite a bit of a or obsession, if I can call it that, to make sure that my husband doesn't actually walk the same road. And on that road, I came across this technology where one was able to actually measure something that you've never been able to do before. Oxidative stress is all across research. You can read about the effects that that free radicals and oxidative stress has on the body. But in ocular care, one of the two most apparent areas is cataract formations in the lens, and then obviously RPE degeneration in macular degeneration. So after a bit of research and after Dan reaching out to me, I came across this great technology, and I'm not going to jump the gun. I'll let him tell you guys more about that. But the main thing for me was, and that's what I wanted you guys to hear from me as a clinician's point of view, when I ended up getting my father-in-law in for a scan, I realized that in spite of the fact that we were doing everything we were told to do, in spite of the fact that we were doing everything that was said in research should be done, his antioxidant levels in his body were still extremely low. And over the last 2 or 3 months, we've been able to pick that up, and we've been able to measure the levels go up. And he's actually saying that he finds that his vision is more stable. So there's definitely value in knowing the number, which we've never been able to do in the past. You know, we kind of just hope that the interventions that we give work. Now we can stop hoping and we can actually start measuring. So on that note, I want to hand you guys over to Dan. Dan has become a great friend of mine, and we speak quite a bit around this technology. And I want him to tell you guys more about the technology and why it works. And why I feel as healthcare providers, this is something that we should all be doing in our practices.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Marietjie, and thank you for PHOO for inviting us. I'm really excited to be here with you all today. As Marietjie mentioned, preventive medicine is very important in this day and age. It's much easier to get out in front of some of these diseases if you know about them earlier, much harder to treat once the disease has already taken hold. And so we're able to do that with this biophotonic scanner. It's called the S3 biophotonic scanner. And then we have pharmaceutical grade nutraceuticals that are guaranteed to increase a patient's score or they get their money back, which is fantastic. We have about a 99% response rate. Meaning that once the patient goes on our products, their score is going to increase in the first 60 days, or they will get a refund on their money. So what we want to talk today is about a focused, dedicated, and professional approach to eye healthcare and a holistic model for treating patients, retaining patients, growing your patient practice or patient population, and then also a little bit about increasing revenue for your practice through utilization. So the global preventive healthcare market is a staggering number. If you look at it, by 2027, we're going to be looking at about $287 billion worldwide. If you look at the statistics on what we spend yearly, it's about $10 trillion worldwide is what we're spending on healthcare. In the US here, it's really disturbing because we spend about 4.2 trillion of those $10 trillion. And we're not even in the top 50 in longevity. So we're not here to talk just about how this device specifically relates to optometry, while important because most of you are optometrists. But a lot of these eye diseases can be traced back to poor health overall, even gut health. So I actually saw an article yesterday because we have a new product out called Meta, and there's a distinct correlation between metabolic syndrome and reduced vision or vision loss. Okay, so we need to really start talking about why good nutrition is important. And when you start looking at some of the data, specifically here's some data from the Center for Science in the Public Interest. Unhealthy eating and physical inactivity are the leading causes of death in the U.S. And this is specifically relating to the U.S., but I'm pretty confident that these numbers translate over to most other countries. And an unhealthy diet contributes to approximately 678,000 deaths each year. And so if you look at the different risk factors and the number of deaths, dietary risks are number one, tobacco use are number two, and high blood pressure, and then it continues to go on with these health-related issues. When we talk about eye health, we know that adding these powerful vitamins, antioxidants, and minerals to your diet can improve your vision and overall health. However, it's very difficult to get these from these compounds from your diet alone. So we do need to supplement, and you do need to talk to your patients about how we can increase these compounds within your body to help reduce the effects of oxidative stress. And there's a lot of research, as you know, linked to eye-friendly nutrients such as lutein, zeaxanthin, vitamin C, vitamin E, and zinc, and how these help to reduce the risk of certain eye diseases like AMD and cataracts, like Marietjie mentioned. So this device that we're going to talk about today, we have over 100 studies validating it as a biomarker that we're measuring through the skin in 30 seconds, non-invasively. And there is a correlation between skin carotenoid score, which is what we're measuring, and eye health. So there's a great study by John Nolan and his team out of Ireland that composite skin carotenoid concentration is related to MPV, utilizing the scanner. There's another one in ARVO, correlation between macular skin and serum carotenoids, showing that skin carotenoid score is as effective in a way to measure this biomarker as blood serum. And if you think about it, it kind of makes sense. We're measuring in the skin, so it takes 45 days for your skin cells to turn over. Because of that, we're measuring an average over the last 45 days of what's being consumed by the patient. I'd like to relate it to an A1C versus a finger prick test for blood glucose levels. So it kind of makes sense that this would be a more accurate way to measure that particular biomarker. So we have an eye health protocol that we use with our optometrists and ophthalmologists around the world, where we, it's mostly based on the patient's budget, what they're able to spend. We have an eye health supplement. We have a Life Pack, which is a whole body foundational nutritional product that will treat the outer retina. It's got ingredients in there for the outer retina. The eye formula, the ARES2 formulas, really only treat the inner retina. And so we need to start, when we're talking about the eye and eye health, we need to treat not only the inner retina, but the outer retina. And we have products to do that. And then it's up to the patient based on budget, what they're able to afford. But what we can do is on a daily or on a monthly basis, bring these patients back in, rescan them, show them that there's an improvement in their score, and showing that really the money that they're spending on these supplements is benefiting them. So just a little bit about the company. The company is a super stable company here in the US. We have a 38-year track record. We do business in 50 countries around the globe. And we have about $1 billion in assets. The one thing that differentiates us, besides the scanner, and being able to test and measure antioxidant levels, is that we spend about $60 to $80 million a year on research and development, which is more than any other supplement company, I dare say, in the world. And then we were rated by Forbes as the 5th most trusted company in the US. So we have a very robust scientific research engine, obviously spending $60 to $80 million a year on R&D. These are the 3 gentlemen that started the company: Dr. Michael Chang, Dr. Joseph Chang, who is still the CSO, and Carl Gerasi, all very accomplished individuals, scientists within the pharmaceutical space. And what they wanted to do was create a nutraceutical company that were held to the same standards. Even though it's not really regulated here in the US, they wanted to create a supplement company that really made sure that they were putting out good products that did no harm, that didn't contain contaminants, didn't contain herbicides, pesticides, things along those lines. And so we have a very robust scientific advisory board as well. We have over 85 in-house scientists. 35 of them are PhDs, 16 different modalities, and we collaborate with top universities around the world on our products to show that there's a clinical effect. And then we have an anti-aging research and development team. And then we have the scientific advisory board are kind of the best minds in different modalities from around the world. So we have, dermatologists, ethnobotanists, phytomedicine, anti-aging physicians on our scientific advisory board, scientists on our anti-advisory board. So this is one of the other things that I mentioned, and this is how the company really makes sure that they're putting out high quality products. They've instituted what they call the 6S quality process, where they look at everything from selection, sourcing, specification, standardization, safety, obviously, and then substantiation, making sure that these products actually have a clinical benefit. So that's, what, as a physician, as an optometrist, we have a company that is very trustworthy, that put out excellent products, and you can feel really comfortable recommending these to your patients. So this is the solution that we have for measuring antioxidants and giving an antioxidant score. This is the S3 biophotonic scanner. It's really easy to test a patient. You basically put your hand over top of a light that's emitted from the device. You keep your hand there for 30 seconds, and they're able to see here on the iPad their score in real time. So we can show them whether or not they're deficient. And if they're deficient, we can show them where they need to be on this little color wheel and how we're going to get them there. So if you see this color wheel, we want everybody to be up here at blue or above for maximum cellular protection to reduce the effects of oxidative stress and the damage that causes. We know over 30 million scans that we've done that 94% of people fail this test, meaning they end up below the blue line, and 80% are in the blue or the red or the orange, which is pretty staggering, but not really that surprising, right? So the science behind the scanner is pretty simple. It's based on a technology called Raman spectroscopy. It essentially uses a certain wavelength of light for whatever particular molecule that we are targeting. This is Nobel-winning science by C.V. Raman back in the 1930s. And this is generally how it works. There's a blue wavelength of light that comes out from the device at 478 nanometers. And then that hits your carotenoid molecules in your hand. Your carotenoid molecules are yellow. Blue and yellow makes green, so it reflects back in a green wavelength to the device, and it measures that reflected light thousands of times a second to be able to give an antioxidant score. So as Marietjie mentioned, it's very important. This is a very important biomarker, especially within eye care health, because we know that increasing these antioxidants is going to lead to or help prevent eye disease, things like cataracts and AMD. And then knowing and showing a patient that they're deficient, and then there's something that we can actually do about it. So for the patients, we're talking about improved eye health, improved systemic health, which is going to affect eye health, and then an improved antioxidant status, which we can guarantee because we can test and measure. And then for your practice, we can add significant cash flow if that's important to you. It's a unique marketing proposition because you're going to have something that not every optometrist in your geographic region has. It can really help with new patient acquisition because you can do some advertising through your social media and your website. And then improved patient retention because you're actually showing them that you care not only about their eye health, but their overall systemic health, and then creating that residual income stream. So for the patient, these products are direct ordered through the company on subscription. They're sent to the patient, so you don't have to deal with the shipping and billing and all of that stuff. But from the patient, there's a rewards program, so they get a percentage of their purchase price back in rewards that they can use for future product purchases. And then we have the scanner guarantee. So if a patient comes in after trying the products for 60 days and rescan and their score doesn't increase, it's very simple to get a refund from the company. There's a form that needs to be filled out, submitted to the company, and they generally takes a couple of days until that would be credited back to their form of payment. But I want to, we are also in the physician's desk reference. We are the first non-prescription drug allowed in the physician's desk reference. If you're not familiar with what that is, it's about a 6-inch thick book. It's actually digital now, but our products are actually included in in that manual. So not only the products, but the biophotonic scanner is there as well with a brief summary of what that does. So right now I'd like to take any questions if there's any questions. If this is something that you think might be useful for your practice, if it might be useful for your patients, you can reach out to Marietjie or myself. I prefer that you reach out to me so Marietjie doesn't get too bogged down as we kind of roll this out to different regions of the world.
The way that I've kind of incorporated this and many of the technologies that I've actually put into my practice is by just making it part of what I do. It's not a question of the patient has a choice whether they want to. It's just part of my value-added service. So the scanner is done with my pre-screening test. So when I do, and I do quite a lot of things as a pre-screening now, which blood pressure and sugar testing is included as well. So my pre-screen takes about 20 minutes to get a patient through the whole screening system, of which the scanner has just become one of those things. And I must say that the public has received this incredibly well, because they also like to have the numbers. They also like to see that what they do, and if they take supplements, that it's actually working. But it really opens up a conversation, and one can actually help a person become more healthy overall. And you have the justification of the numbers to be able to have those conversations. So it's really been a really, really good value add to my practice, in more ways than one.
Wonderful. Great. So I think, thank you so much. First, let me start and, bringing this technology. I think we all do see a lot of patients who we cannot have those numbers. I like, as you said, numbers are really very important, and patients do understand the numbers if you tell them that, okay, you had this and this has improved. So they do understand the numerics. And for us as clinicians, we become more confident, right? When you see those numbers becoming better, we are more confident on kind of advising them, and we know it's going to work, and we can confidently say it's going to work now, right? So thank you so much for exposing us with this technology and letting us know that this thing exists, so that we could now use to our benefit. Marietjie has already shared the ideas that it's a part of a screening protocol with the blood pressure and the glucose level. So that's a wonderful idea. I think we are healthcare professionals, and we are looking at the overall well-being of an individual. So this could be something which is of your pre-screening test, and this can be done as before the patient walks in, before you do the refractions and things like that, right? Just to start this off, how easy or how difficult is it available to get the scanner? Just to put it out that way.
I'm sorry, what was your question?
How easy or how difficult it is to get the scanner? Do we have?
So that depends. I know we have some people here from different countries. And so it does vary by country, but it is similar by region. That's something that, it's kind of hard to explain on this call, and I don't want to get too deep into that. But if it's something that somebody is really interested in, we'll make sure that we can get you a scanner very affordably, so that you can help your patients and incorporate this into your practice.
Awesome. And thank you for sharing the link. And we can always, whoever is interested, please feel free to reach out, and they're happy to kind of talk to you and take you through the process of getting that. Yeah.
Something to add there is that, and you all need to understand that it's about the vision about patient health care, and not for a country or not for a product, but for a global impact that this can have on the healthcare system. So Dan and them were Dan's great. I mean, he will break down walls and doors and make this happen, and they've been able to do that in South Africa for me, and with the purpose of us taking it as far as we can. So with these things, there's always sometimes restrictions in it, but there's never a no. So I know it is available, and you'll always make a plan to get it available to you guys as well.
Right.
No, absolutely. We want to get this technology into as many hands as possible so we can help as many patients. And, when you start talking about, global healthcare, and you start talking about chronic disease, one of the biggest factors that you guys see as optometrists is probably type 1, type 2 diabetics who are starting to lose their vision or having vision problems because of their high blood glucose levels. There's actually a lot of data out there showing that if you can help these patients get nutritionally healthy, reduce that oxidative stress that's caused through that process, that it can actually help not only vision, but it can help a number of other systems within the body. So, one of the tools that we use fairly frequently, if you're not familiar with it, is a website called pubmed.gov. And that's an excellent website where you can put in different search parameters. So in this case, you could put in antioxidants or carotenoid, and you could put in diabetes and eye health and carotenoids. And you're going to have all the articles that have been published on those particular topics pop up. And there's just a ton of work being done on antioxidants, specifically how relating to eye health, but also relating to all of these other chronic diseases that are kind of plaguing society.
Right. Yeah. Awesome. There's one question which has just popped up. Does the scanner provide any report we can give to the patient in terms of a printed or anything like that?
So we'll give the patient a score, which will be saved in our software in the cloud, the scan app that goes along with the scanner. So that will be saved in there, and there's a graph that will monitor improvement or decline over time. You could take a screenshot of that and put it into your patient chart if you wanted to, or you could just write down the score as well. When a patient gets scanned, when you scan a patient in the office, they also will receive an email report of the scan, how they can improve their score or why their score may be low or high, what they need to do to raise that score, and then a link to your personalized clinic website that they can purchase products to help improve their score. I hope that answered the question.
Something that we've done as well, and it depends on kind of how you feel about it, but we've also incorporated a paper pamphlet. A lot of people like to go out with paper. So instead of printing it specifically, we have pre-printed paper pamphlets, and all you need to add on there is their actual score. Like Dan said, you don't have any other information that really changes other than their specific score. So on that paper pamphlet, we'll write down their specific score and kind of show them in which color bracket they are so they can take it home with them. But the email works well, but because it's got all the information on email as well.
Yeah, so I wanted to just quick point out, since we're talking about how this is working in the clinic, we do have a number of tools to make this an easy transition or an easy integration into the practice. And we can kind of alter these to meet your needs, but there's an antioxidant assessment form that asks the patient things, are you taking supplements now? Are you concerned about your overall health? What disease processes are you worried about? What would be your budget if you wanted to improve your health, improve your score? There's an intake letter that explains the scanner, what it does, how it does it, and why it's beneficial to the patient, an order form. And then we have a patient brochure that has a spot for you to put that score and a little explanation of what the scan does and how it kind of tracks your overall health with time. So I just want to make sure everyone was aware that those tools are available, and we can always alter those, based on your country or whatever you need for your particular clinic to make this an easy transition into the practice.
Right. And one question here which came up to me is, there are two questions actually. I read out one by one. How frequently do you recommend the scan to be done? So what's the follow-up? Is there any recommended follow-up scanning? So do you want them to do every 3 months or 6 months, or is there something like that?
So we don't want, once they go on product, we don't want them to do the first initial rescan until about 45 to 60 days because we're waiting for those skin cells to turn over. So that's when we're going to start to see that maximum benefit kick in. But it may take 3 to 6 months until somebody gets to a point where they plateau, and then their antioxidant score is going to stay fairly stagnant above 50,000. They can obviously improve that by taking additional products or improving their diet. And then they're able to come back, as long as they're on product and they're on a subscription, they're actually able to come back for a rescan for free every single month if they'd like to see that improvement and kind of track and measure that. And then there is a financial reward to the practice for rescans. So there's a couple of, a little bit of money that's exchanged. The company pays the clinician for doing those rescans. Why would they do that? Because if a patient's seeing the benefit, they're more likely to take the product as recommended, and then also retain those customers longer term when they're seeing that the money that they're spending on these products is actually giving them a benefit. Okay. So there's another question in here about holding up the scanner. Unfortunately, I'm traveling and I don't have my scanner to kind of show you, but it's about this big, and Marietjie doesn't have hers either. I don't know how to explain it. It's football, like an American football. It's no bigger than like an American-sized football. It's not very big. It's portable. It runs on a battery. It'll hold a charge for a day or two, depending on how many scans you're doing. So it's very easy. It's not cumbersome. And then there is there's an additional when you lease the scanner, it's a month-to-month lease. And there is included in that lease fee is a kind of an insurance on the device. So if you knock it off of a counter or a patient does, you get a new device within 24 to 48 hours after contacting the company and letting them know that it's damaged.
Okay, great. And the second question which I received connecting to that is asking about the least time which would be required for a patient to see a change as per the experience, and the maximum time. So they want to know the both extremes of it. If you would like to comment on that, is it disease dependent, is it dose dependent, or something like that on those lines?
Yeah, I mean, generally a patient is going to see, and like I said, 99% of patients are going to see an increase in their score in the first 45 days when we bring them back for that rescan. If they don't, there's a guarantee that if they say, okay, this isn't working for me, they can get a full refund from the company. So we've scanned people a week or 2 weeks after taking the product, and they've shown an improvement. It just kind of depends on the patient. There's a lot of factors that lead into oxidative stress. Are they sleeping poorly? Do they have a lot of stress in their lives? Are they exposed to a lot of sun? Are they exposed to chemicals? Are they getting what they need from the diet? And unfortunately, from our diet, because of modern farming practices and the way products are shipped around the world, the fruits and vegetables that we are able to get these compounds from are not as prevalent as they used to be. So I'll give you an example. An orange today, you would need to eat 20 oranges to get the same amount of vitamin C as 40 years ago. The same thing with tomatoes. To get the lutein today, you would have to eat like 15 tomatoes from the year 2000 even. So that's the change that we've seen, even in 20 years because of modern farming practices. The soil's depleted. The fruits and vegetables are then going to be depleted. So moving forward, I mean, everybody should be on a supplement to help bridge those nutritional gaps that you can't get from diet alone.
Right. Yeah. So that
and something. Sorry, if I could. And something I wanted to add. Please make sure when your patients come in for their rescan that you actually ask them whether they've taken their supplement, because it's one of those things that you're going to say, oh, but your score didn't pick up, and they're going to go, oh, but you know what? I haven't taken them every day. And then when you start asking them, they take them once in 5 days, So just be careful with that question as well, because they have this expectation that their numbers are supposed to pick up, but the expectation from your side is that they should actually be taking their supplement. Otherwise, it's pointless.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah. And then do you kind of recommend to taper the supplements once you have a sufficient score? Is that something which is practiced, or you kind of want to maintain it, so you want them to take as per recommendation?
Yeah, you're going to want to take as per recommendation, and they're going to want to continue these. Obviously, if they take these products for 3 to 6 months and they get up in the 50, 60,000 range and they stop taking the supplements, their score is going to decline over time because they're not getting what they need from their diet, obviously, if they have a low score. So, this is something that they're going to have to maintain long term if they want to improve their overall health and their eye health. It's just a commitment that they're going to need to make to improve their health. And where I see this being really successful is when a physician talks to their patients in a way that makes them understand that the physician sees the importance in increasing your antioxidant score, and then that's going to translate over to the patient, right? If the physician's not passionate about this, when they're speaking to the patient about it, the patient's is not going to see the value in it.
Right.
And with anything like that, I think when you go into it with, nothing stays maintained by itself. If we go and we start gymming and you lose 20 kilos and you stop gymming and you start eating again, you're going to pick the weight back up. A patient can't expect that doing something for 2 months is going to keep them for the rest of their lives. Everything we do has to be a lifestyle change. It has to be a change, not a short-term fix. Unfortunately, we live in the era where people want short-term fixes, but they don't exist, So go into the conversation with the patient saying, guys, this is a lifestyle thing. If you want to stay fit, you have to keep exercising. If you want to stay healthy, you have to keep on your supplements. It's just one of those things that has to be maintained.
Right. And when we talk about the supplements after the scan, is there a particular, does the software tell us what supplements and how much of the supplements, or it's the practitioners who kind of recommend? What's the thought on that?
Do you want to pick that one up, Marietjie? Or do you want me to cover it?
So I think from my perspective, it also depends on what you have available. So I think for me at the moment, I'm kind of going with what I have available, and the best I have available that works. And it'll depend on the patient. So for us in South Africa, we only have LifePak and Marine Omega. So I like to put my patients on an Omega, especially my dry eye patients, and Fakruddin would know this from my dry eye talks. So for me, I've got a limited product range, which actually sort of makes it easier because it works, and I can just pick that one. And I feel it's really a great product and a value for money because it kind of gives you everything. It gives you the multivitamin complex, it gives the immune boosters as well as the antioxidants. So it's really a great product. And not having choices actually makes it easier to go, for that. Dan can maybe say, if you've got more choices, which way to go from there.
Yeah, it's gonna kind of depend on the country and what government restrictions they have on specific ingredients that we might have in our products. But in general, our products are all natural products. And to Marietjie's point, LifePak is kind of a foundational nutritional product. It's called LifePak because you're meant to take it for life, and that's the way that you should position it with your patients. But more importantly, a patient is going to ask you or your staff, are you taking these products? So it's super important for you as a clinician to kind of be walking the walk. If you're not taking the products and that question comes up, then they're not going to see the value in the products either. And so to Marietjie's point, it's kind of dependent on what products are available. And the scanner does not tell you specifically what product. It gives you a biomarker and tells you whether or not you're deficient in it or not. We have products that we can then recommend. They're guaranteed to increase that patient score. So we don't want to go chasing our tail with something that says, okay, you're deficient in zinc or you're deficient in vitamin D, because then what happens is when you then prescribe that to the patient, those levels would be fine, but everything works synergistically, and then something else might be off because of introducing more zinc or vitamin D into the body. So what our kind of philosophy is to keep all of those important minerals, vitamins, phytonutrients, all topped up to the maximum level by taking a product twice a day, once in the morning and once in the evening with your meal. That way you're keeping topped up on these nutrients 24 hours a day.
Great. Yeah. And someone's asking about age restrictions and things like that. So what's probably the youngest patient you would have done the scan, or would you recommend a particular age where you want that screening to happen?
I mean, personally, for me, I'm not a clinician, but everybody should be scanned, whether you're a child or not. And we scan children and we put them on products. Depending on the country, we do have products for children as well. We have a product called Jungle Moles, which is a multivitamin for children. We have a Mighty Minds, which is for brain health for children. And then another product called Defendables, which is for gut health for children. But we have all those similar products for teenagers and above. And so, once you get to that teen level, they'd probably be scanning fairly routinely. From an optometry standpoint, Marietjie, what are your thoughts on scanning 20 to 30-year-olds? It's probably going to depend on whether or not they've had a history in the family as to wanting to be able to catch that earlier. So I'll let you answer that one, Marietjie.
I'm avoiding smaller kids, so minors. I'm still avoiding at this stage purely because it's just kind of something I decided to go with in my practice. Parents can get a little bit sticky where kids are concerned, especially if they're taking something in orally. So I've just decided to not get involved with the little ones as much as possible on the scanner specifically. But any person who's I would say working, who's finished school or studying or working, should be scanned. So my lowest, I think, has been 20. So I scan from 20 upwards. I think our highest risk age group is between 30 and 40, because those are the guys who are functioning at the highest amount of stress and who's got the worst lifestyle choices, because life is just too fast. And we've seen how many people over the last 2 years have developed stuff like heart failure and stuff between the ages of 30 and 50, which is very young. So, but like I say, in terms of kids, also just because we don't have a children's product available in South Africa, I don't do under 20s, but anything from 20 upwards, I scan everyone from 20 and up.
So I think it's important, since we're on a Zoom call and we're sitting here and I'm looking at Marietjie's blue blockers, and I've got blue blockers on. How much of an issue do you think moving forward, all this screen time is going to have, and how important are getting those antioxidants into your eye or into your tissues going to play a role in helping to negate some of those negative effects?
Right. I think the future is already here. We say, right, the future is still pending, but it's already here. And because of all of that things which has happened in the past 2.5 years, it's much more faster. Life is very fast. I would totally agree. Awesome, great. So I think with that, I have taken most of the questions which has popped up, and thank you so much for sharing this technology with us. And I'm sure that the attendees today, those who have any questions or would like to connect to know more, Dan has been very kind to put his email on the chat. So you see, it's before I said he already did that. So he's very kind and helpful. If you want to know more about the product, if you want to learn more about in-depth in the technology, please write to him. He'll send you the details and he'll get connected. And in terms of you want to know more about the practice, we have Marietjie who has been using this. If you want to learn about how to incorporate into practice, get some ideas from what work she has done, please feel free to reach out to us and we'll get you connected and we'll see how things go on further. So thank you so much once again for spending your time. We are all three on different time zones. So I would say greetings and thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, most welcome. We do have session planned next month. Until then, take care. Be safe, and I hope to see you on the next session. Bye-bye.
Bye.